Hi guys, this will be part 6 of our RetroPie Nintendo 64 project. In this portion of the project, we'll be working on disassembling the Nintendo 64 itself, as well as the controllers. One controller. And this is actually the second time that I had to make this video, because the first time I set everything up to record, and everything was great and all, and I recorded the entire process of pulling apart the 64 and the controller. And then when I went back to check to see how good or bad the video was, it didn't actually record. So I put everything back together to make a second video of pulling the stuff apart. Also, I'd like to apologize in advance because I'm not entirely sure where it came from. It might be the AC behind me, which I turned off now, but there is a lot of static in the video, and after being the second time, I wasn't going to go through and redo it again, so this is how it's going to be. I put this yellow blanket down to catch any stray screws so that I don't lose anything. So, to start off with, we'll take apart the console itself. We'll flip her over, and there's usually 2 feet right here, and then there'd be screws here holding them down, but this one is missing these feet, so there's only a screw here, 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 and here. And to take those off, you have to have the special game bit driver from, I got it from Amazon. It's a 4.5mm game bit driver. If you put a 1/4 inch socket on it, you'll be able to spin it like this. And then I got a 1/4 inch bit driver for that too. So we'll start off by taking those screws out. Jesus, thing didn't want to come off. Well, anyway, so we'll set that aside. We won't need that anymore. While we're here, we can take off the extension tray cover here, and we're going to set all of these screws up here so we don't lose them, and keep all these things in order so we know how to put this back together. We'll flip her over and we can take the expansion bay lid off and throw it up there, and now the top part should just slide right off as such. Set that up there for now. And then we have the gray plastic for the lid there, and it's just 2 Phillips head screws to take that off. It's real easy. And we'll set that aside, and then the 2 lid things just slide right out. We'll set those up here with the cover for it. And then the only thing left on this is the power button and the reset button, and those just have 2 like pinch clips. You just pinch them together, then push them out like this. Real easy. And that empties that, so we can set that aside, bring the base back. Okay, so to take this apart, we got this metal plate around the port here. We got to pull off all of these screws, and then we're going to take the 2 screws up here by the game cartridge port, and then there's screws down the side here, and then this will slide right off. Oh, and these 4. And it's all just Phillips head screws. And we'll pull that metal shielding off and set it right with those screws. This whole interior should just slide right out like that. We'll set this aside, and then the multi-out port thing just falls off. We'll throw that aside too. The LED clear plastic piece just slides out. And we'll set that aside. And that is it for the N64 itself. Now we'll move on to the controller. And the controller is super easy. It just takes two different Phillips head screwdrivers, both fairly small. And there's 7 screws that take the bigger one, and then there's 2 right inside here that are real small that come out with the smaller one. So, and this is one of the reasons why I have this yellow blanket here, because I'm going to unscrew these and just dump them out. Alright, I got those 7 out. I get these 2 little ones inside. And now the 2 pieces of controller should just separate like that. The left and right trigger pretty much just fall out of the thing. We'll set those aside. The Z trigger, you just push it up from the bottom and then pop it out. Like so. We'll set that up with the left and right trigger. And the bottom of the controller is now bare. So we'll throw that aside. To take out the joystick, you have this wire connector. You can just pull these out, use a screwdriver or whatever to push them out. And then there's these 3 screws holding the stick itself in. And then once we have those 3 screws out, well, actually we should have done this already. This Z trigger here just snaps in with 2 push pins there. Snap it right off like that. And we already undid these screws, so we can pull the joystick out like that. And then the board itself is pretty much just sitting in here. So if you yank the cord out like such, and then pull the board out, we'll set that aside. And then the only thing left is the buttons and the little pads. So we'll just yank all these pads off. And the buttons themselves only allow you to put them in the way that they go in. So you can just dump them out and not care. Like so. And now the top part of our controller is also bare. And so before we start painting, we need to scuff up our controller and our N64, whatever else that we're going to paint. And to do that, I have either a green scratch pad thing that, you know, you can just easily scuff up what you're trying to paint here. Or I actually prefer to use sandpaper. So I have a small stack of 800 grit sandpaper. And what I'll do is rip it up into smaller chunks and just use it to scuff up just enough that paint will stick to it. So there you have it. The N64 and the controller are both torn apart, and I kind of briefly said something about scuffing up the surfaces to prepare for paint. I'm not actually going to scuff or paint on camera because I'm sure there's 1,000,001 guides on how to do this stuff, and everybody has their own way of doing it. So if you do need a guide on how to do it, I'm sure you can find one on Google. And so if you enjoyed this video or got anything out of it, please like and subscribe. If not, don't. Feel free to leave comments either way, and I will see you in future videos.